Hey there, Steve here. Hope you're doing well. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had the frustrating experience of sitting down to write something only to find that no matter how hard you try, nothing comes out? Well, I've had this problem for quite some time now, almost a year I would say. But in the past I've written plenty of songs I've been happy with. So why did I have this kind of mental songwriting block that prevented me from writing anything at all? It got to the point where I was doubting myself, would I ever be able to write anything that I was happy with again? Well, to answer this question led me on a journey into how other creative people create. I'm hoping basically I'll find some answers there. And I read a few books by other creators, like this one here by Andrew Huang, which is Make Your Own Rules. And I've also got Rick Rubin's latest book as well, In the Other Room. Well, these books were excellent, but it was this short book by Austin Kleon here, which is Steal Like an Artist, that I was quite reluctant to read with a title like this, but this basically solved that mental block for me. And there's a page in this book that basically summarizes the premise of this book and what really spoke to me. And it says, if we're free from the burden of trying to be completely original, we can stop trying to make something out of nothing, and we can embrace influence instead of running away from it. But I want to be clear here. I'm not talking about stealing from other artists and passing off something as your own. I stole lyrics in one of my first bands as a teenager, and it still makes me feel sick and annoyed with myself because it's one of my favorite bands and I really don't want to repeat that mistake again. So don't be like teenage me, and instead what I'm talking about here is learning from our favorite artists and reverse engineering what they're doing and applying the many different influences from all these artists and we love and transform those ideas into something unique to us. So in the spirit of transformation, I want to show you a few ways of how bands, songs and ideas I've learned during my guitar journey influence the way that I write ideas, and how this can help you take your influences and amplify and transform them into something unique to yourself on your own guitar. When writing, I tend to either start with harmony or a particular riff, but in either case I would be influenced by artists without me really knowing it. And it's only by reverse engineering an idea that I can usually work out the influence and all of the tiny moving parts behind it. So I've taken an idea I wrote recently and reverse engineered it to see really where these ideas came from. And for this idea, it all started with an inspiration from a chord progression. So I believe the original idea was inspiration from all of the math pop bands in the UK that I love, bands like Colour and Tube Lord, for example. They play these kind of like poppy chord progressions in a staccato kind of way. But naturally, I extend chord shapes in my playing, and it's more like chords you hear in bands like Delta Sleep and Chon. Which to me just sound a bit more jazzier and a bit more what I like to use. But where did I go from there? Well, one of the first and easiest places I usually jump to is messing with the rhythm of an idea through strumming and picking patterns and even looking at the timing. During this process, sometimes something would just come to me and it will feel like it's original, but when I really think about it, obviously it's influenced by something I've learned or heard before in the past. Well, with my idea, I ended up on a strumming pattern. When I really think about it, it comes from my obsession with a song called Godsend Conspirator by Coheed and Cambria. But what could I do next? I could leave that idea as it is. It sounds great, right? Or I could use it to evolve a song or add another section or even mess with the idea itself, and that's exactly what I ended up doing here. And typically I feel like I can always add chords to progression and to introduce some kind of variation to the idea. And my recent learning focus that I've been looking at now is all influenced this idea because I've been on a desire to learn more about chords and spicy chords that really aren't in the key, and the awesome possibilities also of using chord inversions. So a band that uses chords that are outside of the key in a really inspiring and interesting way to me is a band called Delta Sleep. And in a song called The Younger Years from their Younger Years EP, they use a lot of this unexpected borrowed chords, we say, the chord that's taken from a different key. In this case, they play this C sharp minor 9, followed by a C major 9 chord like that. And unknowingly, I was influenced by this by adding this borrowed chord to our progression. this E flat major 9 chord is borrowed from the other key. So if you'd like to learn more about this borrowed chord concept and commonly used chords in math rock itself, we'll have a whole section about those chords and chord progressions in my Math Rock Essentials ebook. So check out the description in the link for that. A shameless plug for you there, but I really do believe that will help you. But wait, now I had a chord progression, a rhythm, and some variation to keep the idea interesting, I found myself wanting to evolve this idea and add another section to the song. And I found myself, as I was playing this, hearing some kind of melody over the top of the chord progression, and it ended up sounding something like this. And before I knew it, I was starting to play the chords along with this melody, much like Mario and Eric of Chon do in some of their songs. They play a chord and add this melody around it. And I had to change this chord here. It's still that G major kind of sound there. So by blending this approach with my established chord progression, I ended up with my final idea for the chorus. But how can you take your idea and use it to write more sections like I demonstrated in this video? Well, watch this lovely video next, where I give a step-by-step system on how to expand on your ideas. A big thanks to the patrons that support videos like this. You make this completely possible, so thank you. Thanks for watching this video. See you in the next video.